WEFUNK. We funk.
So just kind of some of the things that we want to bounce around. And for me, there's a series coming out that I'm really excited about. Like I said, MCU is missing from the Comic-Con, but there's a Marvel 616 series coming out on Disney Plus, which is a docu-series with different like comics and actors and directors kind of just focusing on one thing of the Marvel universe, which is the 616 universe, the actual like original comic book. And I think it's just like little hour
when you say
episode.
docu-series, so we're talking like, I
think 8 episodes.
Okay,
8 like 1 hour episode. Each
but of
one
like documentary-based kind of things? We're not talking comic episodes here. We're talking like they're going to be breaking down like, a specific aspect of...
Exactly. For instance, Jillian Jacobs is directing one, and she's talking about like all the women characters in like the Marvel comics and all the women superheroes. There's going to be, talking to the writers and artists and just kind of like the influence in. Yeah, it's a series. I like all that shit. So it's a series I'm definitely looking forward to watching.
I mean, they did great docu-series and documentary stuff released on Disney Plus for Star Wars, just talking about that, as we detailed on our May the 4th special. But lots of cool inside stuff there, and, definitely, I'm sure definitely enough cool shit in the MCU to squeeze 8 docu-series out of, you know what I mean? And also, I really like you really... They kind of, obviously, the comic book movies get their nose looked down at a lot of times, obviously, by some movie snobs or whatnot, but you really don't see a lot of, like, the behind-the-scenes workings of these crazy things.
Correct.
And it would be really, I find it really cool to see how the fuck they make Doctor Strange look like a real movie. When they show stupid, goofy Benedict Cumberbatch in a green screen looking like the fat Star Wars kid, and then all of a sudden it turns into my favorite movie ever. It's like, how the... So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's different, and dating back to the comics as well, as you said. It's going to be the original 616, so definitely cool there.
Yeah, I'm excited for that series. It could be coming out.
Disney Plus definitely giving...
Disney Plus, of course, baby.
Giving us more. I guess for me, one of my, being not as much a Disney Plus guy as I am, as I always talk about, an HBO guy, but I was pretty intrigued by the whole Lovecraft Country HBO series that's coming out this summer. They had some, they released some scenes. I think the first couple minutes of a scene and some trailers and stuff on Comic-Con. And we're doing some talks. This is, of course, with Jordan Peele, J.J. Abrams, another one of these kind of horror things like we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's, I guess it's like a, mid-50s African-American family, like on a road trip, encountering racism and monsters and shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, looks like kind of like Green Book meets Stranger Things. It's like there's literally Viggo Mortensen's driving. There's fucking the shapeshifter crawling out of the woods. It was like
that's a great description of it, because I was gonna say I'm curious about that series because I can't really get a beat on it, and let's be honest, on HBO anything can be better than Perry Mason right now. But
and this has Omar, so we got that, and some great names attached to it. Of course, Jordan Peele. For me, a couple of connections actually was that I watched. I've talked about it on the show, but Color Out of Space. This year with Nick Cage was a great movie based on a Lovecraft story. So I kind of gotten into some of the other short stories and whatnot. So this kind of, it's not like a direct adaptation, I don't think, of one of his stories as much as like trying to create the creepy sci-fi Lovecraft tone with like a Jordan Peele interpretation,
For sure. I think another thing I thought you were going to say maybe that you had ties to it also is, did you notice who the male lead is in the show? It's Lindo's son from the Five Bloods.
Oh, I didn't realize. Nice.
Yeah.
The Fifth Blood.
I was like, where do I know him? Like, where do I know him from?
Okay.
Then it clicked.
Oh, but you're right,
Bloods.
dude. I can picture his face now. He kind of is bigger and looks way more Hick-like. But okay, very interesting. The other connection actually that I had, and that kind of reminds me, but I actually met the female lead I've talked about on the Showtime, but I did like a screening of Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone episodes at the IFC, one of those like director talks or whatever. He wasn't there. However, that girl was there for one of the 2 Twilight Zone episodes episodes that were screened. So, and this one very much felt like one of the Twilight Zone episodes that I watched, where it was like a family on a road trip to college and time. It was like a time warp. I think I talked about it on one of our time loop episodes, but it was like a but a Jordan Peele Twilight Zone episode, and then this one, a Jordan Peele horror series, kind of relating to the same. So it reminded me of that episode. And, between HBO, between J.J. Abrams, Jordan Peele, Omar, there's a lot to like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, I'm
definitely looking forward to it.
I guess speaking too of shows that we've been looking forward to is The Boyz, the series on Amazon Prime. Season 2 is about to come out, but they already announced at Comic-Con that it's already been renewed for Season 3.
Yeah.
Which is,
and we missed the boat by talking this on the air, because me and you actually off the air, you were just recommending that I watch this, because I currently have an Amazon Prime free subscription, and you were telling me that it's one of the best things out right now. So before the second season,
the show. My biggest regret about the show is that it was only 8 episodes. Like, I wanted more when it was all over. Because they definitely have the budget of, like, more – thing about, like, superhero TV shows sometimes when they're on, like, the CW, like the Arrowverse. They just look hokey. Like, the special effects, like, aren't great. You can tell they're working with a TV budget. The effects on this show, like, they use them sparingly enough that I think they save the money on it. But the show just looks great. Like, it looks like you're watching, like, a superhero movie, but,
like a bigger-than-life kind of movie. And you said it's kind of like the off hours of a superhero, or like the real lives of a superhero?
Like the Justice League, right? There's a fast guy, there's like a Superman guy, a Wonder Woman, an Aquaman, and they all have their own thing, but they're all part of this Justice League. And I guess it's kind of about like what dirtballs they are behind the scenes, like just what pieces of shit they are. And the boys are these people of like rogue CIA agents that are like keeping an eye on them and like hunting them more or less.
Okay,
so
I see.
Really good. It's a dark comedy. It's action packed, but it's also funny.
Nice.
Seth Rogen
you were just telling
and
me
Evan Goldberg are the producers on it. So
okay, nice.
Great. I love it, man. It was probably the best show I've seen on Amazon.
All right, nice. And obviously very successful, as we've got now at least another 16 episodes coming out if they haven't extended the season.
That's right.
So plenty more opportunity to catch the boys. I guess I'll throw one out there that I'm not so excited for, as we're talking some of our competing streaming service, as me and Devin obviously have our $1 million contract with Netflix. In our Netflix and chat, we still got to get paid for that, by the way. But there was the big Hellstrom Hulu series, which I guess going to be the last of the Marvel stuff, not on Disney Plus after Disney Plus took over. Supposed to be darker, you know what I mean, and more horror. Didn't really. I wasn't impressed. I'll just put it as that.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one, too. It's based on, I guess, a comic from Marvel that I know nothing about. Watching the trailer, I wasn't, like, stoked about it either.
Yeah, it's apparently, I figured that I was just, like, kind of didn't know. I didn't realize it was a more obscure comic, but I guess, they're 2 kids, both of their parents are, like, nut jobs, and they somehow have superpowers from them or something like that. But it looked like I said, kind of like we were saying with the New Mutants, where they're just trying too hard to create one of these... or Stranger Things, or one of these, like, horror movie comic book things, you know what I mean? And plus, all of the MCU stuff that hasn't been, like, all of the TV series, the ABC stuff, even the Defender stuff, of course, on Netflix. The Defender stuff was good. But the Runaways or whatever, I haven't really liked any of the other non-Marvel movies, you know what I mean? I guess you were an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. guy, right?
I was, and it's a show I fell off of once they really stopped connecting to the movies more.
Okay, I see.
The first couple of seasons, like, and I've talked about before, like, something would happen in the movies, and then the next episode of, like, the show, they'd be like, wow, that was crazy. Like, can you believe Captain America just fought S.H.I.E.L.D.? We are S.H.I.E.L.D. And then, but then they really just kind of gone off and did their own thing. I fell off of it. Same thing with also, like, the Netflix shows. Like, I watched it all the way up to the Defender series, and it was... that I never watched. Like, all those shows have been canceled, by the way. So, again, once Disney bought Marvel, they're like, fuck off Netflix.
Okay,
like,
they're not even buying those. They're not even going to make those for Disney Plus?
No. No, it's all...
Because at this point now, everything else in Marvel will be on Disney Plus. It seems, you know what I mean. Like this was made before the purchase last year, whatnot. So that's why it's still going to be on Hulu. But correct. I don't think you're going to get like a great like a dark non-Disney. Like if you're looking for a non-Disney Marvel kind of great series, unfortunately, I think it's going to be a swing and a miss with Hellstrom.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you on that one. Hopefully we're wrong. You know, hopefully it's a pleasant surprise and it's turns out to be a good series. But I'm not counting on it.
Yeah. Netflix would have crushed it, but Hulu, of course.
I guess it's worth mentioning that Keanu Reeves was on a couple of different panels. One for the original. I think it's been like 10 years or 15 years since the Constantine movie came out, and he was on a panel for that. The original cast and director were there talking about Constantine. And then the other panel he was on was for, of course, Bill and Ted coming out.
More importantly was...
yeah, exactly.
Old Face the Music, the epic
new Bill
trailer.
And Ted movie.
Exactly. Sequel.
Added more to the trailer. And then they also announced, though, that it's hitting theaters on September 1st, the new Bill and Ted movie. Also, though, hitting video on demand on September 1st. So
straight to video.
Take your pick.
I mean, I got to be honest.
Theater and video.
I will be able to give you my review on September 2nd. And if they weren't doing video on demand, that wouldn't be the case. You know what I mean? Because, depending on where you live, you don't have the opportunity for the theaters. Some people don't feel comfortable. So put it on demand for a movie like Bill and Ted's, like, I think a great move. Because I feel a lot of idiots like myself will be probably a little stoned on a Friday night and think to themselves, it'll be hilarious to watch Bill and Ted. Now, however...
Much like you said, I will have a full review on September 1st.
Yeah, for sure. Now, unless, however, is this going to be one of those, like, $25, like fucking, what was the movie? King of Staten Island? That was like $20?
$20.
All right. I mean, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, I mean, I did it for King of Staten Island, and I feel less dirty for doing it for Bill and Ted. Out of Louis C.K., the King of Staten Island, and Bill and Ted, this one I'll feel the purest about.
Yeah, for real. I'll have the least guilt with...
yeah.
But again, the new stuff on the trailer, I'm genuinely excited. I feel like we're heading in the right direction, and major potential. So, like we said, shocked that Alex Winters is looking good, looking better than Keanu somehow, shocking the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and like I said, is even still alive.
And then what was it? Was there any big news on the Constantine front? Didn't they announce that was supposed to be like a whole big...
They talked about how like maybe there'll be like a sequel to come out. But
I mean, I guess you can't rule it out 30 years after Bill and Ted's, I guess. Never say never.
The Wachowski sisters are working on a new Matrix movie, so...
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Anything can happen.
Anything goes now, I guess. But Bill and Ted's, I'd say, for me, the other one, that's pretty much the one that I was most excited for. I'd say the other little tidbit that really got me stoked was the announcement that there will the plans of a Mega Man live-action movie still in the works. And if there was ever a video game movie adaptation that needed to be made 40 years later, I'd say... Because at this point for Mega Man, I guess, that's like, we're talking 35 years or whatever since...
easily. I mean, probably longer. I mean, what, it's 2020?
Is that like, that's got to be 85 like Nintendo?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, we're talking a long fucking time. But honestly, dude, Mega Man, one of my favorite games, one of everybody's favorite games. I feel like it's been... They did a recent Mega Man, like, Wii game or whatever, right? Or Mega Man fucking GameCube or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that franchise has been rebooted for Nintendo video games anyway. But I don't know if it would be as good of a live-action movie as like an animated series for...
I think... Well, there was an animated series on like the 90s when we were kids.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that would be a better reboot, I'd feel, than...
I think a lot of it has to do with the success of Sonic that just came out last year.
Okay,
Sonic did really good in the theaters. Like, people kind of made fun of it.
Did you see Sonic with Jim Carrey?
I haven't watched it yet because I'm a Nintendo guy. Mega Man all the way, baby.
See, I was a Sega kid. I had both for Nintendo, but I didn't have Super NES and Sega. But Sonic was one of my favorite games. for sure. So
Sonic is great. The movie's apparently great, man. I guess who's your since you brought it up, who's your who's your dream casting to play Mega Man?
Oh, great question. Let me think. I mean, I feel you kind of got to go like short in stature, kind of like short. I'm gonna go Pacino. I'm gonna go an old short Pacino, screaming his way through. I'm Mega Man. I'm gonna shoot you with my handgun. But I don't know. Somebody short, I'd say. You know.
All right, I'm gonna kind of stick in your same vein. I'm gonna say Peter Dinklage.
All right, that's not obvious. I don't know how I missed that one.
And Stephen Root is obviously Dr. Robotnik or whatever the fuck the Mega Man
for sure. I was
was.
Gonna say perfect. I think Robotnik was the Sonic, but.
Sonic one, but I think Mega Man's villain was pretty similar. I think he had some other crazy scientist he was fighting. So. They said there's going to be a big announcement coming soon. Is what they said.
I'm going Pacino.
Keep a lookout for the Peter Dinklage, Stephen Root helmed Mega Man coming out. You heard it here first again.
They're hanging on hope that.
I guess one more thing I wanted to talk about is just a big shout out to Bill Watterson for winning the Will Eisner Hall of Fame Award this year at Comic-Con. I guess the Will Eisner Award is for it's basically like the Oscars of comic books. They have different awards for all the different comic books, but Bill Watterson was put in the Hall of Fame this year for the Eisner Awards for his creation and work on, of course, Calvin and Hobbes years ago.
I mean, I really feel like his work over the last couple of years really got him put into the. What have they been waiting for fuck's sake? Haven't they? When was the last time he wrote a Calvin and Hobbes? Like it took him fucking 30. Talk about 40 years too late. Like what have they been waiting for? But I guess I enjoyed Calvin and Hobbes a little bit as a kid. Didn't love it. I was more of a Far Side kind of guy, but.
Oh, nice.
But Calvin, how about you? Did you have the books and all, or?
Yeah, I had them all. My mom bought them all. Big fan of Calvin and Hobbes. The only thing it's a shame to see, though, and I'm going to do the hacky joke where all poor Calvin is up to now is just pissing on Ford signs on the back of Chevy trucks.
Yeah, good call. That really has. The forever lives on the back of rednecks pissing on Ford signs or whatever the fuck. You're right, though.
Correct.
But I mean, in all honesty, though, in terms of 90s comics, and especially when we were growing up, man, I feel like, you know, obviously there's a lot of touch with the kids today, but when we were growing up, I feel like the funny pages were still like hanging on a little bit in like relative, you know, in a relevantness. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I don't know if that's still the case, but so I always felt like Calvin Hobbes and the Far Side, and they were like, I was always surprised, much like board games and whatnot, but I'm always surprised that it's like the creation of these things stopped like in the 70s, and then they didn't fucking, you know what I mean? Like there was no more funny comic strips going on, except for Calvin and Hobbes was really one of the only ones that I feel, or the predominant one anyway, to carry on through the 90s. So if there was a guy like in recognition for, you know, especially comedy comics, the fucking dude from Calvin and Hobbes has got to be first ballot on the Geeked Up list anyway.
I'd say so. If I was to give the award to anybody else, and kind of like to get back to what you were saying, it's funny you keep saying the Far Side, but if I was to give the award to anybody else, it would definitely be, and he already has it, but Gary Larson from the Far Side.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are the other things. We had the big book stacked up with the stupid cow dressed like the Mona Lisa on the cover.
Yeah, for sure. No, those were great, and again, just like I said, like on a small handful of like you know.
There's a great episode of Documentary Now that I think that's on Netflix now. It used to be on IFC, but it's the Bill Hader, Fred Armisen show where they spoof real documentaries. It's like 30 minutes. Each one's like a fake doc, and there's one I forget what documentary they're spoofing, but it's Fred Armisen like on the road to make this documentary about Gary Larson, how he's this diehard Far Side fan, and it's fucking hilarious, man.
Nice.
The third season, it's definitely worth a watch, though. If you, it's on Netflix, but it's hilarious.
Nice.
Big F! WEFUNK. We funk.